How did 50 Cent build an empire? I will be diving into the music, entrepreneurship, and investment ventures made by him to build it. 50 Cent is one interesting character who has had so much experience in the business world we all could learn from. I have talked about him briefly in the past, talking about his wine and spirits business, Sire Spirits, which is just a small portion of his portfolio. It's only right that 50 Cent gets an in-depth video breaking down his empire. Starting with some background, 50 Cent, born Curtis Jackson III, is a music and business mogul who has risen to success in many areas in his life. He was raised in Queens, New York by his mother until he was 8, then lived with his grandmother after his mom's sad passing. Throughout his life, he had a passion for both music and boxing, wanting to become a professional heavyweight boxer. With the environment he grew up in, it led him to taking up a rougher life, leading to run-ins with the law. Despite that, he was able to gain some traction with his skills, meeting and signing to the legend Jam Master Jay for an album in 1998. He would then have a short deal with Columbia Records for an album that would not be officially released, leading him to creating the Guess Who's Back mixtape independently in 2002. Right before he was dropped by Columbia in 2000, 50 Cent's life would change even more after being shot 9 times. That moment gave 50 Cent the drive to accomplish anything he set out to do, living his life to the fullest. By 2002, 50 Cent would release the Guess Who's Back mixtape and start up the group G Unit, eventually being introduced to more legends like Eminem and Dr. Dre, signing to both of their respected labels. The very next year, he would release the classic Get Rich or Die Tryin', leading to his world takeover. Before we get into his hundreds of millions from investments, let's talk about the millions that came from music. Going into music, 50 Cent has released over 40 projects throughout his career, of which 5 are studio albums. In total, he has sold 22.7 million albums worldwide, with platinum albums like the 12 times platinum Get Rich or Die Tryin', the 8 times platinum The Massacre, and 1 time platinum Curtis. With those extremely high and successful album sales, 50 Cent would start his world takeover as himself, along with the G Unit group. At the time of the release of Get Rich or Die Tryin' in 2003, that was the highest selling debut hip-hop album in history, and when The Massacre came out in 2005, the album sold 1.4 million copies first week. Remember, this is 2005. Yes, streaming was in its birth, so these were mainly physical copies, which shows the influence that 50 Cent has in order to get 1.4 million people to leave their homes, go to the store, and make this purchase. His music has influenced a new generation of artists like 21 Savage or the late and great Pop Smoke. That right there is the measure of longevity. Hearing your music still played in clubs today while continuing to influence new artists 20 years later after his debut. What made 50 Cent so successful in music wasn't just album releases, but his ability to influence listeners to transition from his music to other business ventures. His label, G Unit, was heavily cross-promoted, leading to some other artists' success. There were movies, video games, brand deals that all will lead back to the face of 50 Cent growing his brand and empire. As I mentioned, part of his empire came from his label G Unit, so let's dive into 50 Cent's label situation. As for his label situation, I mentioned in the background about 50 Cent initially signing to Jam Master Jay in 1998, which is where he was developed as an artist that would pay off down the road. I do think we often forget how important artist development is to become a better musician and performer, because that is so critical to being an entertainer. The masses may not like your music with no structure, and people don't want to see you live if it's poor performances. With the legend Jam Master Jay, 50 Cent was able to develop these skills, which would be important to advance his career. 50 Cent also had a brief deal with Columbia Records, but was dropped after the 9 shots at his life. What came next would change the trajectory of 50 Cent's career after his persistence led him to meeting Eminem and Dr. Dre, where 50 would sign to both of their labels, Shady Records and Aftermath Records, through Interscope. That deal would allow him to officially launch G Unit as a label, which we will get into in a moment. With Eminem and Dr. Dre is once again where 50 would take his skills to a new level, which is when he dropped his influential debut album in 2003. 50 Cent was surrounded by greatness early on in his career at multiple stages, taking what they taught him to grow an empire of his own. In 2003, 2003 would be the official launch of G-Unit Records. The success of G-Unit was critical to the success of 50 Cent because of how heavily they were cross-promoted. The label/group started off with other artists like Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, and Young Buck. Artists who eventually would be signed to G-Unit include The Game, Spider Loc, Olivia, Mobb Deep, and many more. 50 Cent and G-Unit is credited as the force that brought gangsta rap back into popularity after seeing rap first making its evolution into pop with acts like Diddy, and that force they brought is what kept the sound alive, influencing the sounds we hear today. G-Unit had clothing lines and brand deals that were cross-promoted with the label, driving back promotion to 50 and the artist. As big as the success that 50 Cent is, not everyone on the label followed in his footsteps, which led to turmoil that I have talked about before on my channel. In my worst deals in music industry history video on Young Buck, I discussed how due to the lack of commercial success that came to Young Buck, this eventually led him to owing 50 Cent and G-Unit money still to this day, filing for bankruptcy twice in the past 10 years. Now in 2022, the label only consists of 50 Cent and Tony Yayo, as the label has fizzled out over the years, with the other original G-Unit member Lloyd Banks leaving in 2018. There were attempts in the mid-2010s for a group reunion, but would once again fade away, with 50 Cent saying G-Unit as a group is officially done, with no comebacks being possible in the future. It is important to note, however, in 2014 the G-Unit record label would go independent, including 50 Cent, which is a major move that could set up some good opportunities for him in the future of music if 50 chooses to return. He has teased that his retirement album is coming, which will be released independently through G-Unit. Overall, when we talk about 50 Cent and his label situation, he was surrounded by legendary mentors early on in his career, which developed him into the highly successful artist he would become. His personal label, G-Unit, would be on top of the world at the same time as 50 because he would cross-promote the label with other ventures like their clothing line or brand deals. 50 Cent didn't just want to be a success in music, he took what he learned from the music business and applied it to his outside ventures in entrepreneurship and investments, which I'm excited to get into. Now onto entrepreneurship, something that has been prevalent throughout all of 50 Cent's career, as he is a serial entrepreneur, continuing to start new ventures, seeing massive returns, and learning from his losses. His record label is a massive form of entrepreneurship, with multiple divisions like G-Unit Films and TV, which produces 50 Cent's Power Universe. Now, it has not been officially reported on how much 50 Cent has made through his very successful TV shows, but it is estimated to be between $150,000 and $1 million per episode. The main Power show, not including spin-offs, has 63 episodes, so if 50 Cent made the minimum estimate on that show, he would have made $9.4 million from 63 episodes at $150,000 per episode. What's even more impressive is that number can be and probably is a lot larger. The film/TV industry is just another minor area where 50 Cent has seen massive success. A major player for 50 Cent, especially in his early career, came from the G-Unit clothing line company, which was in partnership with global clothing conglomerate Echo Unlimited. In 2006, during the pinnacle of G-Unit popularity, the line brought in over $75 million in sales. Just the year before, the line brought in over $100 million in sales. Like I briefly mentioned in the label section, G-Unit clothing was such a big player into the success of the label and 50 Cent because it was being sold everywhere, making G-Unit and 50 Cent more than just a label and artist, but driving into people's lifestyles. G-Unit clothing would also have a licensing deal with Reebok for $20 million, driving over $300 million in sales from just his shoes. G-Unit and 50 Cent didn't just take over music, but took over clothing and film through entrepreneurship ventures. Back in August of this year, 2022, I made a separate video on my channel covering a deal that went down between 50 Cent's entrepreneurship venture, Sire Spirits, and the Houston Rockets NBA team. 50 Cent launched the liquor company back in 2018 with brands like Branson Cognac and Le Chamon du Riz Champagne. The products are marketed as a premium luxury brand, which reflects in price points that reach over $200 per bottle. In my video on this, I discussed how this year, Sire Spirits and the Houston Rockets made a deal where Sire Spirits are not only the main beverage line for the Toyota Stadium, but also have designated sections with a private suite, a restaurant, and a courtside bar. This provides so much opportunity for Sire brands to grow since it's a main featured drink to the Toyota Center, which holds 18,000 people nightly. This is still a newer entrepreneurship venture by 50 Cent that already has seen so much growth with a lot more to come. In 2011, 50 Cent would start the audio headphone company SMS Audio in efforts to compete with Beats by Dre and the rapidly growing headphone industry at the time. There were other investors in his company like famous producer Timbaland and NBA star Carmelo Anthony. Though there was success through these major partnerships, SMS Audio would eventually close as a standalone company in 2016 and currently is available under the G-Unit website. This is a great example of a business that was not a complete success but was not a complete failure, which is something that 50 Cent has learned from. Oftentimes when we see companies chase the success of a current top brand, it is hard to catch up to succeed, which makes sense why SMS would still lose to Beats by Dre. However, it was not a complete failure as 1. 50 Cent learned more through entrepreneurship, expanding experience. 2. The 50 Cent brand grew through SMS Audio. And 3. The products are still being bought today through the G-Unit website, meaning there is an audience out there for this product. It was a really smart decision to rein things back and have the SMS Audio brand be sold through G-Unit, as that then eliminates the losses if 50 doubled down on the company, and now he can still be a part of the headphone industry on a lower level. Not every company needs to be a global phenomenon. 50 Cent has had entrepreneurship ventures into books and publishing with G-Unit Publishing. He has written 16 books throughout his career with various genres including autobiographical, fiction, and self-help / motivation. With all that can be learned from 50 Cent and the interesting character that he is, it makes sense on why his book sales have been high throughout his career, another medium where 50 Cent sees success. Overall, when it comes to entrepreneurship, this is something that will follow 50 Cent for the rest of his life as he builds his long-lasting legacy. 50 is a serial entrepreneur that has seen millions of dollars from his successes and has learned from his failures. The same can be said about his investments, which I am most excited to get into. Talking about 50 Cent's investments, there is one major player that I need to talk about first, and that was his investment into vitamin water. In 2004, 50 Cent was at the height of his popularity, looking for ways to continue to expand his brand. He was at the store and noticed the price difference between 2 bottles of water and wanted to get in on the action to sell a healthy, premium water bottle. Using the connections he made at that point in his career, 50 would be in contact with Vitamin Water's parent company, Glacier, to strike up a new brand line called Formula 50. In that deal is where 50 Cent negotiated for 10% ownership of the Formula 50 brand. Formula 50 would debut with 50 Cent cross-promoting it in one of his Reebok commercials, which would instantly become a success. With the help of 50 Cent and the growing premium water market, Glacier would grow from a $100 million company to a $700 million company from 2004 to 2007. In 2007 is when Coca-Cola would purchase the parent company of Vitamin Water, Glacier, for $4.1 billion, of which 50 Cent was reported to make over $100 million from. This entire deal displays the great business mind that is 50 Cent. He noticed people were willing to pay more for a premium water. During his negotiations, he fought for ownership. He used his marketing expertise to grow the brand and cashed out with over $100 million. 50 Cent's Vitamin Water deal changed how music artists invest and opened unlimited opportunities for artists today. Sticking with beverages, in 2014, 50 Cent would invest and become a minority owner into FN Vodka. It was not reported on how much he invested into the company, but in 2017, he would report that he sold his stake in the company for $60 million. A lot was learned here about the spirit business as 50 Cent got an inside look into operations. That was the expertise he needed to venture off on his own the very next year with his own spirits company, Sire Spirits. I'm sure that $60 million also helped get the business started. A good flip by 50 for money and expertise. In 2020, 50 Cent would become an investor into the mattress retailer retailer Casper. The company was started in 2014 that sells Casper sleep mattresses to physical stores and online. You may have seen a commercial for Casper sleep mattresses before. The company was valued at $782 million at the time of 50 Cent's investment. However, after the company opened to the public in their IPO, Casper would struggle to maintain their value, eventually going back to being a privately owned company. As I mentioned, I am not sure how much 50 Cent put into Casper, but he may be holding on to a loss right now with potential to make his money back in the future. There was a lot of risk going into this investment with the IPO. There was a lot of reward which did not pay off. But with Casper still taking new market share in the mattress industry, there is potential to bounce back. When it comes to investments, these were just a few within 50 Cent's portfolio. This video could be a few hours long if I went into all, like his investments into Gunnar sunglasses, real estate, platinum minerals, plus many more. 50 Cent is well diversified in all of his business ventures because he has learned that not all businesses are successful. Some fail, whether that is entrepreneurship or investments, and 50 Cent has seen that firsthand. At the end of the day, 50 Cent wins more/bigger than he loses, and that reflects in the successful investments that have paid out for him, opening up more opportunities for him to build his empire. For this next section, I'm going to keep it brief, but it is important to touch on since I know I'll get a comment. What about when 50 went bankrupt? I'm going to keep it brief and explain what happened, as clearly this is something that he rose up from, making millions after the fact. In 2015, 50 Cent filed Chapter 11 reorganization bankruptcy with a debt of $32 million. This came after losing several lawsuits, including a $17 million deal with Sleek Audio gone wrong, $5 million for invasion of privacy, and experienced some losses with investments like his Cheetah Vision production company and real estate. When people hear bankruptcy, they often assume the person filing is dead broke, but in the case of 50 Cent filing Chapter 11, that specific bankruptcy filing is meant for reorganizing assets and creating a plan to move forward. After filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy, he was put on a 5-year plan to pay off his debts, which he actually finished paying off within 2 years. Bankruptcy was once again a barrier in 50 Cent's life that he had to overcome, and he did that by reorganizing himself and moving towards success. Just a bump in the road that was worth mentioning. So, what is the takeaway from 50 Cent? The takeaway here is something we all need to hear sometimes, and that is to keep pushing towards your goals, giving everything you have no matter what barriers are there to slow you down. 50 Cent had many life-changing barriers that tried to stop him, whether that was early on in his career, getting shot 9 times, seeing businesses fail, or going bankrupt. If any of those things happened to the average person, that person would be stopped. 50 Cent overcame every barrier in his life, pushing towards every goal he wanted to accomplish. It's as simple as, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. So how can you apply this to your life? There are barriers that block almost everything we want to go after. I started this channel a little bit over a year ago now, but I wanted to start this channel a year before that, but my barrier was effort. I didn't want to type these scripts while I was already in school writing essays. However, I pushed past that barrier eventually because I knew this was something I was passionate about and could succeed in. The day I made my first video was the day I knew I made the right move. 50 Cent had barriers trying to stop him from his goals, so do you. Find a way to keep pushing towards your goals no matter what. This all leads me to the question, what is next for 50 Cent? As for music, there have been talks of him releasing his retirement album in the future, and my guess that would be independently on what remains of G-Unit Records. In 50's life now, a big focus is on his businesses, whether that is in television or with Sire Spirits. He is growing out his already successful companies, finding more that he can join. For television, he is growing out the widely popular Power universe, and for Sire Spirits, he is bringing the company into more stadiums across the United States. I do think we will continue to get more investments made by 50 Cent, as that is something he has been doing for almost 20 years in his career. We might see another investment not work out, but there will be more that will work from 50 Cent's hunger to win. Just think about that classic 50 Cent brag bag when he scores another $100 million deal in the future. What is next for 50 Cent? Continuing to grow as one of the top business moguls in the music industry, leaving a long legacy behind him that changed music history. In summary, 50 Cent overcame many barriers in his career, leading to the long-term, history-changing success that he has had. His music was revolutionary at the time, which reflected in the high album sales that are still being played today. At the time of recording this video, it was actually just announced that his song In Da Club just passed 1 billion streams on Spotify, and that is today, now, 2022. The brands he built with G-Unit took over the world, with everyone wearing G-Unit clothing, expanding his reach, which would be useful while building his outside business ventures. 50 Cent's vitamin water deal inspired artists turned investors to look for ownership in these brand deals to follow in 50 Cent's footsteps. Not every business has been a success, but 50 Cent capitalizes on what is successful while minimizing risk. There is so much that can be learned from a business mogul like 50 Cent, and there is so much more to come in his business career. 50 Cent changed the music business from not just being a great musician, but being results driven in business, which over 20 years built the ever expanding empire he set out for. And that is how 50 Cent built his empire. I hope you found this video informational. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, as well as let me know who I should talk about next. I appreciate everyone who recommended 50 Cent. So much we can learn from him. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.